Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Should You Play, where I show you some spoiler-free gameplay and give you my thoughts after playing new games for a few hours, while also highlighting and checking out at least one of the PlayStation Plus games for each month. In this video I'm playing one of the August 2025 PlayStation Plus games, Lies of P, the Pinocchio-inspired Souls-like game that originally released in 2023. Lies of P is just another in a long list of games that I heard about when it released, but never had the chance to get around to despite being really interested. Now that I have played it though, I'm actually really impressed by what I've seen so far. Sure, I have a handful of really minor complaints here and there with the game, but overall they've done a lot right, so let's just talk about it.
Be careful, clever one.
Lies of P is a dark, twisted retelling of the classic Pinocchio fairy tale. You play as a puppet who's woken up in the city of Krat and realize that the city's fallen into ruin after its puppets went rogue and a plague swept through the population.
You must understand. The city is on its deathbed.
The narrative is delivered mostly through NPC dialogue and various notes and letters you'll find while exploring, and while you'll sometimes hear some guiding thoughts from your companions, it's mostly there to steer your direction rather than explain every detail of the plot. It's pretty straightforward overall, but there's just enough cryptic mystery sprinkled in to keep you hooked for the journey.
You must have questions.
If you've ever played a Souls-like game like Dark Souls, Code Vein, or Nioh before, gameplay should immediately feel familiar, as Lies of P is very much a love letter to the genre. You'll pick from one of 3 starting builds at the beginning of the game, and as you make your way through the city and defeat enemies, you'll spend earned ergo on leveling up stats such as vitality, vigor, and motivity to grow stronger. The game offers 3 levels of difficulty, ranging from a story-focused experience to a more standard gameplay one, and you can switch between the 3 at any time, so it's accessible to newcomers while still giving more veteran players a challenge. I am enjoying the game quite a bit, but most of my issues have to do with the gameplay itself, as it's not a perfect experience. The camera tracking is one of my biggest complaints with Lies of P, as you'll be going through winding areas often, and you'll constantly be having to readjust the camera manually rather than have it follow naturally. It does track with your movement a little bit, but it's just not nearly enough in my opinion.
It's a shame.
Additionally, as with most of the games in the genre, platforming is a bit of a nightmare, and there's one section of the game in particular where it's especially egregious. On the other hand, level designs are generally very good, with most of them being tight and connected areas that let you open up shortcuts and prevent you from wandering around aimlessly while trying to figure out what progress is. There's a good amount of optional side quests that you can pursue as well, with NPCs scattered across the world offering up vague and easy to miss storylines that will earn you some rewards, but you'll really need to pay attention to the story and your surroundings to complete them.
Be wary of dangerous people.
You also have the option to change out your clothes with different outfits and accessories, but the items are purely cosmetic and don't affect gameplay or combat at all, so you're free to mess around with the options to create realistic or ridiculous looks for your character. On the topic of combat, Lies of P is all about knowing when to strike, when to back off, and when to block. Enemies hit hard, and while you're definitely not weak, your damage output and health are relatively low in comparison, so timing is key, and success in battle means picking your openings carefully. You also have the option to parry attacks, though I personally found the window to be just a little too short and relied more on quick dodges and strategic blocking instead.
You've got all kinds of skills.
You can upgrade your weapons as you progress through the game, but you also have the option to mix and match hilts and blades at rest points, and this is probably my favorite aspect of the game. There's already a good variety of weaponry in the game, but you can attach a greatsword blade to a rapier hilt or an axe head to a dagger handle to find combinations of weapons that work best with your playstyle.
If you find any more weapons, let's try using them here.
The game also gives you a Legion arm, which is a swappable mechanical arm that lets you equip different tools such as a standard punch or a grapple to pull enemies in. Regular enemies repeat a fair bit, but usually with some minor tweaks to their behavior and design, so while you'll likely see a lot of familiar puppets, there's still some variety between the different areas of the game. Some enemies do unfortunately have attacks that feel really unfair, even by a Souls-like standard, and I'm gonna specifically call out the charging attacks that stun lock you into losing half of your health, but many of them are completely manageable if you learn their attack patterns.
That seems unlikely.
As for the bosses, they're definitely tough, but not overwhelming, and their designs are all fantastic. I've been playing games in the genre since Bloodborne first came out, and I think I only died against one of the bosses once, but if you are struggling with any of them, you always have the option to lower the difficulty or summon in a Spectre ally to give you a helping hand. On a final note about the game's combat, one complaint that I do have is that when you die, if you don't remember where you left off, there's no indicator or map to help you locate your lost ergo, so unless you remember exactly where you perished or you happen upon them by chance, you'd have to consider them a loss.
I have no right to stop someone as determined as you.
The overall presentation of Lies of P is another highlight of the game, as it combines Victorian horror and steampunk style, and I'd be lying if I said it didn't at least give me flashbacks to Bloodborne, but this definitely still has its own unique personality.
Ugh, this place gives me the creeps.
While it's not outright scary, it does present an eerie atmosphere of moody lighting, ornate architecture, and mechanical monstrosities in the shadows. There are some areas that can feel a little similar to past ones that you've gone through, but there's enough variation to keep things fresh as you move from zone to zone. The soundtrack also fits the mood perfectly, and while the foot foley can be a little loud at times, all of the other sound design elements are incredibly well executed.
Well, Not bad, huh?
The haptic feedback on the PS5 controller is also well implemented. It's not something that's game-changing, but it's something that I always appreciate when it's done correctly.
Yes, you guessed it.
On the performance side, I had a near-flawless experience with the game. Early reviews when the game first came out mentioned issues like enemy AI quirks, floating objects, and NPCs not appearing where they should be, but 2 years later, even as a gamer who somehow always manages to find the oddest problems, I truly didn't run into a single one in my 15 hours or so of playing. If I were to be really critical of the game, I'd say that load times between deaths weren't the fastest in the world, and that enemies can still hit you through walls if their weapons are long enough, but with everything else in such good shape, I'll happily let those two things slide.
Pretty sweet deal, don't you think?
Overall, I'm really impressed with Lies of P. The twist on the Pinocchio fairy tale is fresh, and the game is in really good shape, but it's not 100% perfect.
Tell me the truth!
There are a bunch of small quality of life tweaks that can make the game even better, such as refining some of the combat mechanics, making platforming a lot less frustrating, and adjusting the camera tracking so it moves better with your character, but it's still an excellent game and a solid addition to the Souls-like genre. The combat variety, unique weapon building system, and atmospheric world design all make it a worthwhile experience that I'm sure fans of games like Bloodborne will enjoy, and it's a game that I'll absolutely be getting back to as soon as I have the first chance to.
Whew, I think we're done here, pal.
As always though, this is just my opinion. Whether you're just starting to make your way through Krat, or you've already started taking down hordes of rogue puppets, let me know in the comments what you think of Lies of P.
Won't you help me, son?
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.